I believe that we should debunk the idea that you cannot have green energy and development at the same time. Greening the economy could have an impact as important as the Industrial Revolution. Yes, Africa does have a rich mix of energy sources and should make a judicious judgment as we go forward. I think in the short term, they should be able to use the mix they have from gas, oil, coal, but in the medium to longer term, they should be aiming for green energy. But we also need help from our international partners.
And that is, of course, your greatest challenge, to get a binding agreement globally.
Africa has done very little to pollute our world, but we will pay the highest price. And therefore, we have a critical interest in a solid, viable agreement that will help us contain CO2 emissions or climate change. And I think the African leaders are aware of this, and I hope for the sake of justice or climate justice, all the leaders realize this and understand that it is not only them, but there are those at the other end who are at greater peril.
What for you is going to be the key in Africa, particularly? Of course, the sunshine, solar is obvious but expensive, hydropower effective but huge upfront costs to get it off the ground.
I think geothermal is taking a hold, and I think given the size of the continent and the energy needs, some of the hydro energy projects are viable. But solar, which is becoming cheaper and cheaper, can be a very effective solution. And you can imagine a situation where Africa succeeds in doing this, in moving in the path of green and renewable energy.
What about those that don't have any access? They get on the grid. What can change? What can happen? What strides can they make?
If you suddenly find yourself in a situation where there's continuous supply of energy and you don't have the outages and it is reasonable, and you don't have to invest in generator and diesel oil, and the amount of savings are enormous. And you can sign a contract with your clients, assuring them that you will deliver X units per month, per year, and be able to do it because you are certain that the inputs will be there.
And when it comes to businesses and industries, are there examples for you that are forerunners and pioneers in terms of renewables? Because there's an amazing energy for this on the African continent.
You have young entrepreneurs, small, medium-sized companies who are really doing this, using solar energy to offer villages and houses electricity, making it possible for them to charge their cell phones. Everybody has one. And really what would be exciting, which I'm looking forward to, is for us to have such innovation and such development in the area of energy that one day we will have a disruptive device, a bit like the cell phones, where you don't need landlines. You frog leap it. I'm positive with the way things are going that we will be able to have developments or innovation that will not require that everything goes via the grid, or you can really generate electricity for large communities in reasonable, steady manner, and that will make a lot of difference in the lives of the people we are talking about. Africa is a paradox. It's not a poor continent. It's a rich continent with many, many poor people. And this is a problem that, with organization and leadership, is solvable. And I really hope that with the younger generation, with some of the changes taking place on the continent, with the effective entrepreneurial spirit developing in Africa now, that some of these problems will be issues of the past in the next 5 to 10 years.